How did you first meet Kid Rock?
I was working with the Robert Bradley's Blackwater Surprise. We were recording at White Room Studios in Detroit. When we were recording the record, Bob, Kid Rock, was in the studio working in the B room at White Room Studios, and I think he was recording Early Morning Stone Pimp or some of the tracks that would later be on that. Invited me in to come in and do some tracking on some piano. I don't think anybody from Twisted Brown Truck or the current lineup or even the first lineup when we first started touring was even involved at that time. Bob was dabbling with starting to use live musicians along with more traditional hip-hop approach with turntables and a DAT machine.
What's up, Rebels? It is Chunky Monkey 40 here, and today I have something extremely special for you guys. Today we are going to be sitting down with Jimmie Bones. Jimmie Bones has been a longtime member of Kid Rock's Twisted Brown Trucker band, been a part of the band for over 30 years, and I had the honor of sitting down with him for an hour or so and getting to hear some of those stories. For those who might not know, I have been a Kid Rock fan pretty much since the moment I was conceived. Growing up living in Michigan, his music was like religion in my family. Rock and Roll Jesus was the soundtrack of my childhood. Songs like Roll On, All Summer Long, Amen, and So Hot against my mother's best judgment. And I'm sure most of you guys know too that I have also been a huge fan of the Dukes of Hazzard since I was a little kid as well. One thing that my interest in Kid Rock and Dukes of Hazzard and music and entertainment in general, those two are my top two, but one thing that I am very interested in is not only the main stars, but also the people who make the main stars who they are. For example, I've sat down and heard stories with John Schneider, but I also spent 7 months of my life putting together the story of the stand-up General Lee, Richard Sefton's car. Richard Sefton was a mechanic who worked on the Dukes of Hazzard. He made all the General Lee stunt cars. He was the shop foreman. He was a mechanic who made the show happen. And without guys like Richard Sefton, we would not know the Dukes of Hazzard. And the same goes for this. Without Jimmie Bones and the Twisted Brown Trucker band backing Kid Rock for the last 30 plus years, we would probably not know Kid Rock. You cannot mention Kid Rock without saying "and the Twisted Brown Trucker band." Jimmie Bones has been a massive part of that since 1996. Jimmie has played piano and harmonica for Kid Rock longer than I have been alive. This was a very big deal for me, and so I was extremely excited, and I'm extremely grateful to Jimmie for being willing to take time out of his day to sit with me and invite me into his home and just shoot the shit for a while. It was awesome. I first met Jimmie in 2019. It was Hell of a Fest in Hell, Michigan. Jimmie was playing there at the Hell Campground. And, I was still in high school. I was just getting my start here on YouTube. It was cool. I met Jimmie for the first time there. From there, we linked up twice backstage at a few Kid Rock shows. One was at Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, and then another time at Pine Knob in Clarkston, Michigan. And, at those types of events and whatnot, when, he's getting ready to go up on stage or just got off stage, it's kind of hard to do a one-on-one like this. And then fast forward to earlier this year in October, I went to Jimmie Bones' independent show at the Token Lounge in Westland, Michigan. I had the opportunity to talk to Jimmie for a while, and I had asked him if he would want to do an interview with me sometime, and he said yes. And ever since then, we had been working out the details and getting dates set up, and now here we are. It's done. I just finished the rough cut right now. And so without further ado, this is the interview with Jimmie Bones. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to go and check out ChunkyMonkey40.com alongside visiting JimmieBones.com. So without further ado, I will stop talking and let's get into the interview. Jimmie. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good,
I like
man.
your shirt.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bones Infinity shirt.
Got this when we were at the Token Lounge, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.
That was a good time.
Thanks. That was a fun show.
There's a lot of special guests.
Yeah, I was, very excited that Derek St. Holmes flew in, and a lot of my good friends, Dave Edwards, from The Look, and Jason Krause,
Herschel Boone was there too. That
Herschel
was really
Boone,
cool.
yeah, and his beautiful wife Tarina, very talented couple.
God, yeah. They make a great duo.
Oh my God, they're such incredible singers. Larry Fratangelo, I had my Twisted Brown trucker family up there with me and everything. So yeah, it was a fun night. Really
That's
cool.
awesome, man. Yeah, it was so much fun. I mean, me and my mom went out there, and it was just, we didn't even plan to see each other there. We both bumped into.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it was funny. We both bumped into each other, like, surprise, here I am.
No kidding.
But so, it's Christmas time.
It is, man.
Talk a little bit of Christmas. So you just released your new single, When Christmas Bells Ring Once Again.
Yeah, I wrote that actually a few years ago. I think about the time that COVID was just coming out of lockdown, and that's really what inspired the lyrics. Was, we were still sort of, tiptoeing through things, and this is going to be so great when everything opens up again, and it felt like it'll be like Christmas, and I'm like, when Christmas bells ring once again, so I pretty much went with that and wrote it on this piano and developed it. Last Christmas, as you know, I always do these little home solo performances here at the piano and put them out.
Yeah,
just
I love seeing
random
those.
covers or whatever, standards. And I was like, I do one at Christmas time every year. I thought, well, this year I was trying to figure out, it would have been last year, what song I was going to do. And I thought, wait a minute, why not do When Christmas Bells Ring Once Again? Do an original song. It would have been the first time I was doing that. So, I put that out there and, even said, all right, God willing, I'll be cutting this year and releasing it next year, which here we are with a full band, and here we are.
And it's out.
Released it a few weeks ago, and it's on all the platforms, Spotify and Apple Music, Amazon, any place you download music. You can get it at my website, jimmybones.com. And it's out there.
Let's get it.
Hopefully it becomes a classic.
I think it should. Let's start from the beginning, Jimmy. So you grew up in Roseville, Michigan.
I did.
What was that like?
Yeah. Oh, Roseville at that point in time was a very young city. And I grew up, let's date myself. When I was 4, 5, 6 years old, I was hearing all the Motown stuff as it was happening on the radio. And that really deeply affected me. But Roseville was, your typical community, just kids riding around on bikes and having fun. You could go places and, your mom could say, all right, summer day, get out of the house, don't come back till dinner time. It was a different day and age.
Till the streetlights came on.
Yeah, right, exactly, pretty much, Be out playing baseball till all hours. And my parents would always tell the story that I knew when it was dinner time, but I'd be out playing baseball and come in, and they're like, well, no, look at my watch. And I kept setting my watch back, because I didn't want to come home. So
That's funny.
yeah, as if that was going to fool them.
Yeah, that was tricky, though. You gave it a shot.
Yeah, I gave it a shot.
And when did you pick up the piano for the first time? When did you start? Well, first, when did you get into music in general?
Well, music was very early. I think it just, I think I was singing as long as I can remember. And then I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, and that really got me rolling. And my folks went out and bought the first couple records the next day, and I remember, being about 5 years old and listening to those things. And the one thing that I do remember was recognizing that there were more vocals going on than just the lead vocal line. and there was harmonies going on. And I started picking up on that really early and kind of taught myself to sing harmony at a fairly early age, trying to listen and pick out all of those other notes that were going on surrounding the main vocal line that really sweetened it up. So, honing my production skills, I guess, at an early age. And then after that, shortly thereafter, I saw the Rolling Stones on the same show, on the Ed Sullivan Show. And, like so many others, the British invasion affected me deeply, along with all the Motown and stuff that was happening on the radio in Detroit. The guys that were hearing that and more in their later teens jumped on it and started playing in bands. I was just a little kid, but I do remember the first thing I did is went and found a tennis racket and started playing air guitar and singing with the use of a tennis racket.
Did you want to get into guitar first then?
I kind of had that idea, yes. And I remember one year there was this thing called the Tiger electric guitar. One of the toy companies came out with it, and it was sort of a legit guitar. They're actually collectible now at this point. Had its own little amp, and I wanted that so bad for Christmas. And I did get one. There's a picture somewhere floating around with me in my pajamas holding it up with a big,
big
teeth missing grin, and holding up my guitar on Christmas morning. And then I messed with it, but I never really learned how to play it at all.
So then when did the piano come in the picture?
So the piano came in. I've actually never had a piano lesson in my life. My folks bought a Hammond organ after visiting with one of my aunts, and they had one, and their kids were playing it. So that was probably it was 1969, and my folks went to Grinnell Brothers, bought this Hammond organ, and you got 10 free lessons. So my mom and my sister split them up, but then they asked, you want to give it a shot? And I said, yeah. They fell off, lost interest, didn't progress, but I pretty much ran with it and took off, and it somewhat came natural. So I really only had maybe a couple, 3 years of formal lessons. But everything that I use in my career, I learned from a turntable and
Just trying to play along with it, basically?
Trying to play along, just, like the way guitar players, the way most of your rock and roll and blues musicians learned, watching folks and listening and learning playing by ear.
And did songwriting come to you naturally, or?
Being a fan of all of those things and listening to the songs that I was trying to learn, I was like, well, you recognize patterns and you start emulating those patterns, and you're like, hey, yeah, I can do this too. So that happened pretty early. The earliest stuff was obviously written around blues, 1-4-5 blues progressions, which is rock and roll. The great Chuck Berry and Little Richard, Elvis, the early rockabilly stuff. It was all written around 1-4-5 blues.
Hank Sr.?
Yeah. And all your blues musicians, Leadbelly and Charlie Patton, into Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and all of the greats.
You fell in love with the blues pretty much then first.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. That's been a huge influence on me. But that's what influenced rock and roll.
What was the Detroit music scene like back in the day? I know you first linked up with Robert Bradley.
Yeah, that was much later. I mean, I started playing in bands when I was in high school. So, playing the teen dances at the VFW on Friday night, high school dances, whatever, churches, whoever wanted to hire us to play. And we were doing everything from Edgar Winter to, rock and roll hoochie coo, things like that. Keep playing that rock and roll. Uriah Heep, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Bad Company came out a little later, ZZ Top, and all the classics, playing Beatles, playing Rolling Stone songs.
If I'm not mistaken, weren't you in a band at one point called Crossroads?
Yeah, that was actually my first band from high school.
Oh man, so was it like just a bunch of classmates that kind of asked you, hey?
Yeah, it was funny because I think I was in the 10th grade, and I was sitting in class and I was just playing my harmonica. I had already started playing blues harp, and guy a couple seats back said, "Hey," he said, "can you sing?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I can sing." He's like, "I got a band, but we don't have a singer." He's like, "What's your address? We'll pick you up tonight and come on and audition for the band." And so his name was Don Cherry, and I went with them. And first song we did was "Going Down," and obviously I wasn't playing piano. I just started singing and playing harmonica. Did that, and then we did "Never in My Life" by Mountain, and "Keep Playing That Rock and Roll" by Edgar Winter. And they're kind of looking around, and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm really messing this up, And I says, is it that bad? Because I see you guys looking at it. They're like, no, you're in the band, dude.
You blew them away right off.
They liked what I was doing. So, yeah, I think the harmonica really helped, too, because they didn't expect, to find a singer and a harmonica player.
Yeah,
and then they asked, so what, do you play anything else? I said, well, yeah, I play organ and piano. So I didn't have the money to buy one at the time, but we would rent them and go do gigs.
When did you start mixing, being able to play the harmonica while you're playing piano?
You know what? I never actually did that until we recorded Rock and Roll Pain Train with Kid Rock.
That's a classic.
And live, I do that, playing piano, and then I have the harmonica holder like Bob Dylan or all the folk guys used to use. Put that on, and singing too. So that's really the first time I ever even attempted that, when we started getting that ready for a tour. Obviously, when we recorded it, I played my piano stuff, did the tracks. Bob said, hey, let's get some harmonica going on here. And then he said, can you do these at the same time, or do we have to bring another guy? And I said, no, I can do that.
How did you first meet Kid Rock?
I was working with the Robert Bradley's Blackwater Surprise. We were recording at White Room Studios in Detroit. Robert Bradley was a street singer that was discovered by the guys that owned the studio, Mike and Andy Nera, and their drummer, Jeff Folks. They brought me in to play on some demos and ended up being signed to RCA Records. And so I toured with those guys for probably about a couple of years, after the release of the record. But when we were recording the record, Bob, Kid Rock, was in the studio working in the B room at White Room Studios, and I think he was recording Early Morning Stone Pimp or some of the tracks that would later be on that, and invited me in to come in and do some tracking on some piano. And we also shared a rehearsal space, and so I would show up early for our Robert Bradley rehearsals, and Bob would be in there rehearsing with his band. I don't think anybody from Twisted Brown Truck or the current lineup, or even the first lineup when we first started touring, was even involved at that time. Bob was dabbling with starting to use live musicians along with, his more traditional hip-hop approach with turntables and a DAT machine, and incorporating the live musicians. And so, yeah, they started to work with that. I would show up early for rehearsals, and then I just fire up my rig and start jamming with what they were doing. as I've told the story before in interviews, I've always said that, he asked me to join in on some shows if I wasn't touring with Robert, and it was kind of a natural thing, overlap, very organic.
That's cool. And so is that when the Twisted Brown Trucker Band formed? Were you the first member?
I believe Kenny Olson would have been the first member. He was already in it, or starting to work with Bob at that point in time. And then I started jumping in on some shows. We had some different formations and for the first year or so. And then right about the time that we started doing shows to showcase for like the different major labels is when Jason Krause came in, and still hadn't a solid drummer yet. Matt O'Brien from a band called Big Chief that was on Sub Pop was playing bass with us. And then we did a showcase show at the State Theater in Detroit, which is now the Fillmore, and ended up being signed by Atlantic Records. So we did the complete Devil Without a Cause record in White Room Studios. And
how was that?
That was a lot of fun. That was a long process. We probably didn't work as hard as we should have. There was way more fun stuff going on than recording, but then when we got down to business, it got down to business.
I've heard stories that that you guys got like a hot tub in there.
Oh yeah. There was tons of shenanigans that had nothing to do with recording, but it's the history. It is the history, so it contributed to all of that, and all of the stories contributed to songs, and
a
whole
Without
lot
a Cause
of stuff.
record is just something.
Only
else.
God knows why was written in jail after. I wasn't there, but several of the members, including Bob, got into a bar fight in Mount Clemens and ended up spending the night in jail. And I think Only God knows why was written during those hours.
That's a pretty good spot to write a song.
Hey, what better, right?
You ain't got nothing else to do as long as you're getting some paper and a pen.
Yeah. You might as well, be creative about it.
You had quite a big part on Cowboy, didn't you?
I contributed the little piano break in there, so
that's cool.
That was my contribution, but who else was going to do that?
Only the man, the legendary Jimmie Bones. So, what would you say is your favorite song to play live these days?
Over time, undoubtedly, my favorite song to play has always been Where You At Rock. It just hits hard. And that's always on everybody's wish list for a tour, but it's been put away a number of years ago. More recently, I've always enjoyed the version of Wastin' Time that we've done after the fiddle was brought in. I get to play a lot of gospel piano in it. There's so many. There's a lot of high points. Rock and Roll Pain Train has always been a real fun one.
Yeah, and then when you guys cut to Everyday People, that's always interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And, those things where I'm a little bit busier as far as, having to juggle things, that's always fun and a challenge for me, so I like doing that kind of stuff. If there's a lot of rock and roll, boogie-woogie kind of piano, Bad Reputation, great example of that. I got to play a lot of really cool piano.
Where did the nickname Jimmie Bones come from?
Well, that came when I was in my teens, and there was a family of sisters that me and my buddies used to hang around their house. And one of the little sisters, because, let's face it, I always looked like I needed to eat much more. I could have ate a lot more Krispy Kremes or something. And, Yeah, she just used to call me Bones, but it was like this little girl, you know, hey Bones, hey Bones. And later on, when I started playing in bands, I started adopting that, you know, Jimmie Bones, you know.
It's always interesting where your name comes from. You know, I was a chunky little kid, and I used to love to climb and mess around, and so that's where my name, Chunky Monkey, comes from.
Oh, okay.
And then now I'm super skinny, and
that.
I know, yeah, it's funny. You see the skinny kid walking around saying, "Hi, I'm Chunky Monkey."
Yeah, nicknames are a funny thing, man. My dad's a Youper, and so my grandfather and all of his brothers and his sister all had nicknames. My grandfather, his first name was Alred. Well, everybody knew him as Babe. And then his one brother was Tubby. He had another brother, Francis. He had another brother who had more hair than anybody, thick black hair. His nickname was Baldy. And then they had a sister. They called her Aunt Bubba.
That's funny.
So, yeah, that's a Upper Peninsula kind of thing. Everybody seems to have nicknames up there.
Uncle Cracker recently went on a podcast. It was the Like a Farmer podcast, and he mentions a story about Grandpa. And he was talking about how they were leaving a pub in Europe somewhere, and he was walking out into the street, and he almost got hit by, I think it was a bus or something, and you, Grandpa, grabbed him and pulled him back. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, yeah, because, you know, traffic is going a different way there, and just saw it as it was coming, and it was something was a bus, one of them big red buses was coming right around the corner. And I just like, oh, Matt, you know, grabbed his jacket, pulled him back. And so he refers to me as Grandpa.
You were the elder in the group then, huh?
I was at the time, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. And so did you kind of have a little bit of seniority and kind of tell all the kids, hey, settle down?
No, I never was anything like that. Yeah. I tried to just, you know, keep perspective as if we had all grown up together and we're the same age. We were all as one in one great family and still are, so
that's huge.
It's never been like that, any kind of seniority. Or we would always look out for each other, and if somebody was maybe, you know, getting into the danger zone, let's say, as far as, you know, a behavior or whatever, we were never afraid to check each other, but it's just like brothers and sisters, you know. It's that kind of vibe, you know. It was always out of love, like, hey, you know what, and not do it in front of a bunch of people or whatever, you know, like, if you got to do something, take them aside, you know. But hey, you always have blowouts and stuff, but then 2 minutes later, we forgot about it and we're drinking together. You know? It's like that.
Yeah, like when you're as close as family, you know, you're gonna butt heads a little bit.
Yeah, once in a while, sure it does, but that's healthy. You have to.
And so, with you guys being so close all these years, I'm sure you got a lot of funny stories from being with them all the time. Probably crammed in minivans and stuff, touring.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, started out in a Jayco camper that we embarked on the Warp Tour, and this thing was really in great shape. Rented it from this couple, and by the time they got it back, I think Bob ended up having to just buy it from them. It was a wreck. It was trash.
You guys had a lot of fun.
I think Cousin Eddie's camper in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation looked better than that did by the time we returned it.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So you guys got into a lot of different trouble and whatnot back then. What's some of your favorite tour stories from those early days?
Oh, there's so many, and what I can remember, you know. There's some really great stories about us. We were crossing the English Channel, and there's some pretty cool videos of that going on, but it's the middle of the night. We had an off night, and everybody was just so hammered. You're supposed to get out of the vehicle, out of the tour bus, and everybody needs to go up on deck when you're crossing the English Channel. So there was a video with everybody, Freddie, Paradigm, and all of them, and it's really comical because they're all drunk. I wasn't part of it because yours truly was so hammered, I couldn't even get out of my bunk. And so it's like, you know, I didn't even get out. I missed the whole thing, which you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to be below deck when on the ferries when they're crossing, you know, ferrying you across the English Channel.
So the show started very small, but as they progressed more and more, what was it like going from playing like, you know, a smaller room to like Woodstock 99 with 220,000 people in the crowd?
Yeah, that was definitely that was a high, and that's really one of the explosive moments that really brought Kid Rock and the Twisted Brown Trucker Band into the forefront. But before that, the shows that we did, like the first show I ever did with Bob at the State Theater, you know, I had done rehearsals with him in a rehearsal place. I'd never been on stage with him. Was not expecting what I witnessed when I got up there to play. All of a sudden there's pyro and explosions going on and the lighting. It was almost like, you know, like the 70s shows, that, you know, the 1970s when people started doing all of that. Kiss, you know, to name one of them. I was not expecting that at all. I had been playing in blues bands and, you know, and Robert Bradley, you know, it was more just
very calm,
straight
casual.
about the music, you know, not the spectacle. And Bob really was achieving that, you know, more of a spectacle and the big slamming production rock show. So I'm like, wow, this is incredible, you know. And I wasn't expecting that. So I'm playing the show, just concentrating on the music, and I'm looking around like, oh my God,
all these distractions.
I'm being entertained as I'm performing, you know.
Yeah. Do you ever get scared with the pyros being like right behind you? Like Stephanie, I always worry about her with the flames going.
They're pretty close, yeah, and you feel it. I mean, people in the crowd ask me, you know.
Yeah.
20 rows back, oh my God, we're feeling that heat coming off there. Do you feel that? I said, yeah, I'm like 6 feet away from the dragons when they're going off, you know.
There's a show at Soaring
summertime,
Eagle.
they can be pretty hot, you know.
Yeah, there's a show at Soaring Eagle where at the very end when he was doing We the People, the wind was blowing from behind the stage towards you guys, and Stephanie's right there, and I'm just like, I hope her hair doesn't light on fire.
Yeah, and the professionals that we have running that stuff, Tom Brewer has been running pyro for us for many years, and he's incredible, one of the top guys in the business, but he's very conscientious of weather if we're doing outdoor shows, you know, always paying attention to all of that, and will not fire if wind conditions are not right. His first thing is safety, and safety for the band, safety for all the production people on stage, and the audience, you know.
That's huge.
So we've got legitimate pros that are working with us, and Tom's one of the top guys in the business.
When the direction of Kid Rock's music changed from the rap rock stuff to more of a country and like sort of calm, sort of Motown vibe, you know, with songs like Roll On, All Summer Long, and Rock and Roll Jesus, or Rock and Roll Pain Train, as we mentioned, you know. What was you and the band's thoughts about that when that change started to happen?
I don't really view it as ever being a change because we were messing with that stuff from the very beginning. So I don't ever see that there was ever really a change. I think people just became more aware of the fact that it was brought to the surface that he's not just a hip hop artist. He's not just a rap artist. And we were doing everything that we were fans of, you know. the R&B, the straight ahead rock and roll, the country stuff. The first version of Wasting Time, you know, with the sample of Secondhand News, the piano that I was playing was straight up Floyd Kramer country rockabilly piano on that version. If you ever go watch that, listen to it, that's what I was doing. I was doing Floyd Kramer, who was one of the greatest country and western piano players ever, studio guys. And I was playing all of his chops in there, you know. In fact, Bob even said, do all your Floyd Kramer stuff in there, and I just let it rip and played. So the reaction with all of that, I don't think it was any shock at all that things were going in a lot of different directions, because it was all things that we were fans of.
Yeah, and there's very early, like, a lot of people always say, you know, Kid Rock went country, but there's traces of country music way back on songs like, you know, on songs on Early Morning Stone Pimp, and obviously Devil Without a Cause, and
Born to Be a Hick.
Yeah.
From, you know, History of Rock, that is something that was recorded years before, you know, and that's a straight ahead Bob Seger rocker.
Yeah.
But the lyrics, he was just singing about growing up in the country and all of that. And he was just like, you know, born to be a hick. So
little pie-eyed motherfucker.
Nothing really changed at all, you know.
Yeah.
It gave, I think just, you know, coming to the forefront gave Bob an opportunity to do what he really wanted to do. And it all worked.
That was a really good answer.
Oh, thank you.
So you've obviously worked with Kid Rock and Uncle Kracker a lot, but you also did some stuff with Hank Jr. on the Almira Club record?
Yeah, they invited me in to do some backing vocals on, in country music, you can't say the F word. And then Hank asked me to come in and play some Hammond B3 organ on a version of Amos Moses that he was covering.
Yes, and that's one of my favorite songs. I did not know you were on that. You're kidding me.
That's me playing B3 on that. And I think the name of the album is I'm One of You. And yeah, in fact, he even lists Jimmie Bones' Distorto Hammond organ. You know?
That's cool.
So,
that's cool. What was it like working with Hank Jr., man?
I had hung out with him, you know. We have toured together, you know, Bob and you know, Kid Rock and Hank,
still to
Williams
this day.
Jr. as a package. So we had already, you know, toured together. We had flown out to his place in Tennessee. After a couple shows, we had a few days break, and Bob, we jumped on the jet, me, Krause, Kenny Olson, a few other members, and, you know, hung out with them and just had a few days of great times in the country and seeing the house, seeing his house, and very hospitable. He took me and the rest of the guys into the vault. He has 2 vaults in what the building that is his office and his headquarters. And what they were, the building originally was his father, Hank Sr.'s honky tonk. So big pole barn that's been expanded. And, you know, he had these 2 gun vaults, big rooms. And he was storing like Johnny Cash's guns in there, Merle Haggard's, you know, Waylon Jennings, stuff like that. Opens the door, and the first thing I see is the suit with the musical notes on it and the boots and everything, and tall man.
Yeah.
You know, very tall man. So I got to see that, and then Hank said, "Hey, look at this." And he's flipping through this book of all of his father's lyrics. It's a big, you know, like a gigantic photo album, which, you know, that you would keep. And I'm flipping through, and I come upon this piece of paper with the publishing company letterhead on it. And in pencil, it's the lyrics for I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry in his father's handwriting.
Wow.
I'm like, like, Hank, can I touch this? And he said, oh, yeah, go ahead. You know, no questions asked. So I'm like, I got to lay my hands on this, you know.
That's incredible.
Brought Bob over and said, dude, you got to touch this. You know, this is great.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
That had to have been very special getting to see that.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, hanging with him's always been fun, but it's, you know, it's been a, you know, friends thing, you know, and hanging out. And then later on with his band, touring with us, and such incredible players, all of them, you know.
Yeah, they always put on a
It's
hell of
always
a
been
show.
a lot of fun.
What are some other bigger artists that you've kind of gotten to hang out with? I know you've probably gotten to know Bob Seger and his band quite well. You guys did a lot of stuff together.
Yeah, we with Bob, and I mean, I've always known the guys from around Detroit too, especially Alto Reed. You know, used to hang out at Alto's house in Grosse Pointe. Craig Frost, the organist, you know, and from the days back when he was with Grand Funk Railroad, I was a huge fan, you know, and then being able to finally meet and, you know, more be you know, like boys with him is a lot of fun. Chris Campbell and Drew Abbott. I've done stuff with Drew Abbott, live performances where we were on the same show. He's always been really cool and always offered his services when I go in to record any of my stuff. I haven't had the opportunity to bring him in, but I definitely want to. Drew's such a great player. One of the best for me, I've always been a huge fan of the Jay Giles Band from my high school days.
That was my first concert.
At Cobo Hall or
Pine Knob, man.
At Pine Knob, yeah, you're too young for Cobo. So, yeah,
No,
I
but
saw them right around Christmas time many years ago. I was a junior in high school and saw the Jay Giles Band with Mountain opening up. And so watching them over the years and always being a huge fan, and then Peter Wolf ends up on the road with us when we were doing the Rock and Roll Revival Tour. And that was a huge high point for me, just to be able to hang with Peter for, you know, for a couple of months when he toured with us, and have him on stage with us and doing, you know, their songs and everything.
That had to
In
be
fact,
very
one of the
special.
best ones when we played Detroit, we broke out Detroit Breakdown, and I've always loved playing that song.
That's a classic.
Oh, gosh, yeah, love that song. So, yeah, Pete, that was his idea, more insistent, because he wanted to, he always wanted to do more of the older R&B Atlantic Records era, Jay Giles Band stuff, and I was kind of his lobbyist. He would always come in. All right, Bonesy, you're my R&B guy, man. You got to talk Bob into. I want to do Give It to Me and some things like that. Pack Fair and Square, you know, all those old rockabilly stuff from like Full House and things like that. And Bob, you know, Bob wants to do the really, really big stuff and what the crowd is going to recognize. So yeah, we were doing Centerfold and Love Stinks and that.
Musta Got Lost.
We did work out that version of Musta Got Lost where Peter Wolf did the whole Repute of the Beauty speech before and everything. So that was incredible every night, watching him do that. It was great because we would start it out doing Ain't Too Proud to Beg, the old Motown song, you know. And I forgot what else we went into after that. But eventually we would get into the whole Repute of the Beauty speech and do Musta Got Lost.
That's amazing.
That's definitely a high point for me.
Yeah, that
for
had
sure.
to have been for sure. I mean, seeing someone who you've essentially, you know, has been a hero in your life.
Yeah.
And you're behind him, backing him up on the keys.
Yeah,
That's got to be special.
exactly. Yeah, it's like now we're peers, you know.
That's cool.
So
You still keep in contact a little bit, or?
once in a while, yeah. Well, I'll drop him a note or something. I hear back from him, you know. If I release something new, I'll, you know, run it by him and everything.
What about-
Which reminds me, now I have to email him when Christmas bells ring once again, which I know he should dig because it's got such a Supremes kind of vibe to it, you know?
Oh yeah, you got to show him that
Like
for
Baby
sure.
Love or something, you know?
I think he'd dig that for sure. It's got that funky. It's so much fun. I love the bells in the beginning. That's when you know, all right, this is going to be a fun
Yep,
song.
that's Larry Fratangelo on Sleigh Bells on that.
That's cool. And so your band, it's the Snakebit Wanderers, correct? Yeah. So when did you start putting that together?
Right after I released Snakebit and Wandering, so that's what the name came from, the Snakebit Wanderers. And again, you know, I put the band together and have had a few changes here and there to the lineup that I've pretty much settled into now. At first, you know, Tino Gross had produced Snakebit and Wandering, and so he was there on drums. Johnny B. Bedanjic, the legendary drummer, you know, founding member of Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels and the Rockets. He's on quite a bit of that record on drums, so he had done some shows with me, some different players, and now pretty much settled into Garrett Bolanek on guitar.
That guy's incredible, dude.
Incredible. Really great guitar player. No nonsense, very meat and potatoes, you know. Such a great player and such a great entertainer. And that's him playing on my most recent releases, you know. Quade Finnegan on drums, Dennis Burke on bass. And Garrett and Quade live really close by, so, you know, that makes it very easy. And, you know, it's kind of like when you're younger, who'd you play with? People from your neighborhood, you know, yep. So kind of the same thing.
That's cool that you guys got that same kind of vibe. And like when I got super lucky at your recent show at the Token Lounge. I mean, I got front and center. I forget who even, someone saved me that entire table. They were like, fill this up, but you're sitting right there front and center. Ace Wilcox. That's who it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ace, yeah. Yeah, good dude, man.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Now on When Christmas Bells Ring Once Again, that's my son-in-law, Ryan Ruiz, playing bass on that. I definitely wanted to involve him and keep family in it. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so going back to Kid Rock for a moment, one album of your guys' is that I have a very special personal connection to is Rebel Soul.
Okay.
And my understanding with that record is you guys recorded some of those songs at the rehearsal spot.
All of it.
All of it?
Yeah, all of it was recorded in the rehearsal spot. Pretty much right from the stage.
Man.
From the rehearsal stage.
Did you guys just play it all the way through and just...
No, some of them we did play all the way through as a band and track them, at least do it the old, you know, the old school way, the way they did it at Stax and Motown and, you know, all the great studios where the whole band would play, and then if anything needed to be fixed or, you know, adding overdubs and whatnot. So we did it the old school recording way, and cool. that was all recorded from the stage.
Three Cat Boogie, I would say, is probably my favorite
That's a fun
song.
one, yeah.
I wish you guys play that at the shows, man.
Yeah.
I
think we did play that. It made its way into the show maybe one or two nights.
I think we first spoke about this song, Bring It On Over, because, you know, that song has since evolved into Kid Rock, Loretta Lynn, and yours, She's Your Baby, Now Rock Her. Tell me about that song.
So that riff, was something I was messing around with in the studio, I think about the time that we were doing the self-titled record. And Bob really always loved that. You know, and he's like, oh, I want to hear that. So started messing around with it, but really didn't track it. And then, so I took it home and I just developed it more and wrote Bring It On Over to it. And he still really loved the song. I ended up releasing it on Snakebit and Wandering. It's the second track on the record. And we were talking one day on the phone, and he's like, yeah, we got to do this, and I still want to do that Bring It On Over, you know, thing. And I'm like, okay. I says, I've already released it under my own. He goes, that's all right. I want to maybe rework it. So I wasn't there, but from what he told me, he was playing it for Loretta Lynn, and he's like, I have this line she's your baby. And he was singing it. She's like, well, then you have to say she's your baby, now rock her. And that's where it came from.
That's cool.
So out of that, it evolved into another song. And I have a co-write with not only Bob, but Loretta Lynn. So
God rest her. Did you ever get to meet her?
I did, yeah. Sweetest lady.
Yeah.
So sweet. Everybody loved her. And, I had been listening to her for so long from my grandfather, listening to country music. And then, I can't even tell you how many times I've watched Coal Miner's Daughter, the story of her life with Sissy Spacek. And, what an incredible movie,
I love seeing those old performances of her and Conway Twitty doing Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man.
Oh, yeah. Just incredible stuff. But, I mean, just a badass, such a badass.
You a big country music guy?
I love a lot of the older country that I grew up listening to, that my grandfather listened to, obviously all the classic stuff, but like Ferlin Husky and Hank Snow. He was my grandfather was a big Hank Sr. fan, Johnny Cash. I remember hearing the live album from Folsom Prison that Johnny Cash recorded. I think I was like 7 years old when I first heard that at my grandfather's house, going way back.
Another one of your songs that I've been actually listening to a lot lately, Bittersweet.
Bittersweet.
What's the story behind that song? That's a very, very deep song, man.
Thank you. Well, speaking of my grandfather, if you look at that is a picture of a 20-year-old Ignatius Warchuk, who was my grandfather, when he was still living on the farm up in the Thumb, just around Ubley and Parisville. And it's a picture of him in his overalls, and I think he's probably in his very early 20s, holding a puppy. And I just always cherished that picture. And so I was very close to him. And his brothers, used to stay with them on the farm. And it's somewhat of an apology because I was gone when he passed away. I had always thought that I would be there with him in his final moments. Unfortunately, I was out on the road. And he wouldn't have wanted it any other way than me doing what I do, I wrote that song maybe a bit as of an apology, and, he's letting everybody know that I've lived a good life and it's okay. There's folks I'm dying to see again and someone I'm dying to meet.
That's pretty deep, man. I mean, every time I hear that song, even just hearing you talk about it's got me going a little bit. That's just it's been...
Don't weep for me, I've had a good run. The feeling is bittersweet, but there's folks I'm dying to see again and someone I'm dying to meet. And that's, our Savior.
That's exactly it.
And God.
And so last year in 2024, you were diagnosed with ALS.
Yeah.
How's that been treating you?
It's pretty rough, and the progression is now to the point where I just can't continue to perform anymore. My hands are all but, especially my right, is all but paralyzed. Starting to lose a lot in my legs, having to walk with a cane. In fact, this one just arrived today.
Yeah, nice, check that out, guys.
Model.
You guys have been getting a good shot of it the whole interview. Jimmie's flexing his cane.
It's not a drugstore cane. This is, But, the progression has luckily been somewhat slow, but the thing with ALS is it's not the same in every person that's diagnosed. It can be limb onset, which I got limb onset for about 3.5 years ago. I started noticing weakness in my right hand, and started having issues with finger dexterity and weakness. And my first thing was, okay, I got to quit swinging a hammer and and swinging an axe, splitting wood by hand. It's time to start using the log splitter like everybody. But hey, I wanted to have the exercise, and I would be out there for hours, splitting by hand and doing that, and swinging a hammer, probably doing a whole lot of, handyman things and builder things that a piano player really had no business doing, should be hiring somebody to do. But when you know how to do things, you're not going to hire somebody. Did a tour and started to notice some loss of velocity with my right hand, which is not a good thing. And then I saw a neurologist, and he sent me to a surgeon, underwent carpal tunnel release surgery and cubital tunnel release surgery in my right arm and wrist, and did not start turning a corner with the physical therapy afterwards of, regaining the strength and rebuilding muscle tissue or anything. So they were looking at some other things that maybe had to do with the radial nerve, but he wanted me to go to Henry Ford Hospital to rule out some things, and they didn't get ruled out. So last December 4th, just about a year ago, I was diagnosed with ALS. And one of the first things that I did, we were getting ready to tour, and the emails were coming when rehearsals were starting. And I wanted to be very transparent with the band and with Bob and everything. And, went to him. I'm like, look, okay, I've been diagnosed with ALS, and it's not getting better. And he knew what it was and everything. And I just told him, I'm like, look, if you need me to step aside, I'm not really compromised to where I can't play, but a lot of the things that I would do just one-handed, the rolls and things like that, I don't have my jackhammer fingers anymore. I'm having to use both hands to accomplish some of the things that I do with one hand. And I said, if you need me to step aside and bring somebody else in, he said, absolutely not. You've been there, you've been with me for so long, you've been a soldier with me so long, so you're my guy. As long as you say you can do it, I'm not hearing anything. So, meaning he wasn't hearing anything, and I want you to continue on with this tour. And it started to even progress through the tour and everything. And Bob, the entire band I'm in, have just been so very supportive, as has everybody. My family's been incredibly supportive. I'm blessed. I'm a blessed man. Got so many great friends, so much great family, and everybody's been extremely supportive. Bob's been an absolute saint through the whole thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So,
And Lee, she's a
I can't
trooper.
say enough good things.
Yeah. How did you and Lee meet?
She was not even interested in coming to see us, and we were in, I believe, St. Louis. And her friend had seen us a few nights prior, and so she wanted to come to the next show. And so Lee kind of got dragged kicking and screaming to our show in St. Louis. And
How unfortunate.
History was made.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and again, she ended up being backstage after the show because her friend knew Aaron Julison, our bass player. And, we were just the first thing we were talking about. She said, you're sitting there with your baseball hat on eating a sandwich, and you just said, you guys want something to drink? And it was we just started talking and, began talking. And
when do you think that
we're
was?
long distance for quite a while. And,
You remember the year?
2003.
Oh, wow. So hot minute ago then, eh?
Yeah, hot minute ago, man.
And then so fast forward to Anderson, South Carolina, Rock the Country. That was just earlier this year. And
right.
So Bob, my understanding is that he flew Lee and all the kids and everybody down there to give you the spotlight. How did that all come about?
Well, it was the week before that last show, and he came into our dressing trailer, and he's like, hey, next week, if this could potentially be your last show, I want to do something, and I really want you to have the spotlight for the encore. Pick any song you want to do. Band can learn it. You can do one of ours. You want to do something just solo on a piano? He's like, obviously, we're going to do Ba with the Ba after, but you pick something. And my first instinct was reluctance. I like, you know what? I don't really need the spotlight on me. If you want to make an announcement, that's cool. But I don't really need to go out there and perform and do it on the spotlight. And he's like, nope, I insist. That's what we're doing. So it's funny because when he was introducing me, he said, so the first thing he picked was some rockabilly song, which nobody had, which I thought, well, maybe we could do Marie Marie by the Blasters. That's something that I've always done. I did it at the
That was a great song. I don't know why I didn't. Why you and Jason did it. Yeah.
Jason Krause came up and played guitar on it, and he loves that song. But so I was thinking the next day I got on the phone with him, and I'm like, you know what, I don't want to put the band through having to learn anything. And we've done this as an encore through the tour, through prior tours. We've come out and done it as an encore. It had already had video set up. And then we went into Bob, let's do Drift Away. And maybe that's, kind of fitting, It's appropriate. And he's like, I said, I'll do a verse and you do a verse. That way we can share the vocals on it. Which he's done many times with Cracker. If he's in town or on the same bill with us or something, he'll come out and guest on it. So I just told him, can we do that? And he's like, yeah, I like that idea. And the band did too, because they didn't really, it was almost autopilot,
Yeah, it's just part of the set list.
It's just a different thing where I was coming up in the front on his grand piano to do it. So
big, beautiful white piano. That thing was nice.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is a special night. Kind of a bittersweet night. You're probably wondering why we've been wearing these Bone shirts all night. And we're honored you're all here to share it with us. For over, you're better than me, 30 years?
Almost 30.
For over 30 years, incredible years, we've had the privilege of playing alongside a true legend, a brother, one of the most talented, dedicated musicians I've ever known, Mr. Jimmie Bones. Now Jimmie's, most of you don't know this, Jimmie's kept it very quiet, but Jimmie has been quietly battling a horrible disease called ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Facing it for some time now, with the same courage, humor, and spirit that he's brought to every single show, every rehearsal, every note he's ever played. Tomorrow is promised to none of us. And while Jimmie is embarking on some new treatments, we're here tonight to celebrate Jimmie and the time we've had together. Now, just let me tell you something about Jimmie here. This guy, I think everybody can testify, has shown up with a smile, a joke, and an unmatched spirit night after night. Keyboards, harmonica, backing vocals, songwriting, you name it, Jimmie delivers. He's not just a musician, he's the heart and soul of this band, our brother, through thick and thin. So tonight, for the encore, we talked last week, and we all wanted to do something special, put Jimmie in the spotlight out here. He's been back there behind those keyboards for so many years. So we're gonna put Jimmie front and center exactly where he belongs. to lead us in a song. I told him to choose any song he wanted for the encore. I said, I'd love you to come out and sing it. He came up with some crazy rockabilly song that nobody fucking knows. And then he said, no, I want to do a different song. And I want you to sing it with me, you and the band. So his incredible family is here with us tonight. And we want to just show him how much we love and appreciation we have for him. So Jimmie, from all of us on the stage and everyone out there in this audience, we love you, brother. You've inspired us, you've entertained us, you've lifted us up, and tonight we're here to lift you up. So ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for our brother, the one and only, the legendary Jimmie Bones.
Thank you. Hey, before I do this, man, I just want to say I love Bob. I want to thank Bob and every one of you fuckers up here on this stage. I love all of you from the bottom of my heart. It's just family. This is a great, great, great family up here, and we're tight through thick and thin. And yeah, for pretty close to 30 years, we've been, some of them we remember. Anyways, Stephanie, would you do me the honor?
This is a song Jimmie chose. He wanted to sing for you all tonight with us.
I mean, and it was a huge moment and quite an honor for me. And the running joke over the years has always, from the early days, you know, has been, we'd be talking about the set list. And one day, I think I said, I didn't see it on the set list, missed it, and I said, oh, we're not doing Cowboy? So for 30-some years, the joke has always been when we're talking about a set list, somebody will say, yeah, Bones, we're doing Cowboy. And everybody cracks up, you know. And that's a running joke for 30 years with this band. So then I'm thinking, you know, there's that bridge. And it just popped into my head, you know. When my mind is free, your melody can move me. And when I'm feeling blue, guitar's coming through to soothe me. Thanks for the joy that you're giving me. I called Herschel and I said, I sent him a tape of it. This is what I'm gonna sing right there. And I kind of pushed Bob into letting me sing that part, you know. Mm-hmm. I wanted to sing that line. And instead of, I just want to know that I believe in your song, I said, and I had them, everybody, we drop. And the whole band drops out and it's just harmonies. And I had Herschel and the girls learn it. I just want to know that we're going to play cowboy. Thanks for the joy that you're giving me. Oh, the joy that you're giving me. I just want to know that we're going to play cowboy. Rhythm and rhyme and harmony. Drift away.
Let me hear one time for Jimmie.
Everybody lost it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember
totally
watching the
off
video.
guard. Totally off guard.
When I saw the video, I started laughing at that point too, and
Yeah,
it was
totally
a good
off
comedic
guard.
relief at that
So
point.
I'm flying back with, you know, with Bob and my family and everything, and my phone goes off, and Jason's like, thanks for ruining a good cry for all of us. He said, we got on the jet, and we're all thinking that we're all going to be sobbing. We are laughing so hard. He's like, thanks, man.
Oh, that's amazing. Are you still going to continue playing for Kid Rock, or is that going to be the last show?
There's no way that my hands won't do it anymore. A show came up recently with a rodeo, so I did go in for a couple of weeks and rehearsed with Dean James, who potentially could, you know, be my successor. He's a guy from around Nashville, and he's in the studio a lot with Bob. Great player. He's actually got a band that's like one of the house bands at Bob's Honky Tonk. Ridiculous singer, guitar player, really great keyboard player, and he really pulled off the show really well, So, I mean, I went in coaching a bit, during the rehearsals, because then they had to do full production rehearsals, and I know that he was a bit overwhelmed. He just told me, he's like, I can't even believe how much stuff you cover. He goes, I'm used to playing one keyboard now. He was like, you're like,
welcome to 4.
yeah, right. Exactly. You're juggling 4 and playing a harmonica and doing vocals and stuff like that. And I'm like, you can do it. So I worked with them and provided him with a lot of recordings of live stuff and rehearsals, and where the keys were up and he'd be able to hear them, and kind of coached him through. And then they brought me along, kind of just be third base coach and, be there on the sidelines in case he needed any. But he pulled it off really well.
That's awesome.
So that said, I don't see any possible way where I can continue, sadly. This has been 30 years of my life, with Bob.
Yeah.
Longer playing, but, I'm playing. I just think back, I'm like, I long for the days where I can just sit down at a piano and just start ripping, and I just can't do it anymore. My hands won't. It's like, what you want to do, and your hands won't do it,
Damn.
But I can still sing, still pick up a harmonica and play, and, I've done a few of my own shows where it's just been more singing, and my band picks it up. So I'll keep doing that as long as I can.
That's
and
huge.
hopefully that's longer than sooner that I have to give that up.
So is that what's next for Jimmie Bones? You gonna start doing some local shows? You got some new songs coming out? What's going on there?
I do have a couple of things that are close to being ready to release. I have to go in and just brush up some of the vocals, and Garrett's retracking some of his guitars. He felt he could get better tones and things like that. Throughout 2026, I'm going to be releasing a few more singles and possibly go out and do some shows,
Sweet. You think you're gonna try and attend a couple Kid Rock shows next year?
Oh, I'd love to, yeah. In fact, went to dinner last night, my wife and I, and Jason Krause and his wife, and it's like, you're going to still fly out with us, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to. I'd love to come and just hang, be there.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. It'd probably be a lot of very, very weird sitting at the sound
that
booth
one
or something.
that I had to sit out, I mean, that's the first show ever.
Yeah.
In 30 years of doing shows at every level, that haven't been involved in, There's never been a show that I wasn't on.
I mean, yeah, you can't think of the Twisted Brown Trucker Band without thinking Stephanie Eulenberg, Jason Krause, and Jimmie Bones. I mean...
Yeah, Aaron, Marlon, Herschel, Larry Shannon.
Stacy Michelle.
It's a family,
Yeah.
Yeah, Stacy was she's such a great singer. We love her, miss her. Jessie Wagner.
Yeah, Jessie, she was amazing.
Yeah, just an incredible performer. I mean, we got a big extended family,
Yeah. And so, anything else coming up for Jimmie Bones?
Christmas.
You waiting for the Christmas
family,
bells to
man.
ring once again?
Yeah,
I love it.
Keep ringing year after year. Hopefully that becomes a classic,
Yeah.
What would be really great if some big artist picked it up and decided they wanted to track it for their Christmas album or several.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be wonderful.
But hey, Jimmie, thank you so much
Thank you, man.
sitting down with me today.
Yeah, man.
You take care, and God bless you, brother.
All right, man. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Love your stuff.
I appreciate it. All that Mountain Dew craziness.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah, man.
Lots of caffeine.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the interview with Jimmie Bones today. After the interview, I hung out with Jimmie for a little bit, and he ended up actually giving me a couple things. Jimmie gave me this really cool Kid Rock $1 million bill, and on the back side, it's got a ton of stuff coming up in the year 2000. This is going in a frame for sure. Jimmie also gave me an all-access Breaking Bad themed pass because I had said that I had been looking for it, and he had one around. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel down below. Drop some comments and let me know what you thought of the interview. This was my first, I would say, professionally shot interview ever. And also let me know what I could do better about it next time. And thank you so much again, Jimmie Bones, for allowing me this opportunity to have sat down with you for a while. For being willing to sit down with me for a while, welcoming me into your home. It means the world to me, brother. But guys, that is it for this video. So with all that said and out of the way, I am ChunkyMonkey40 at YouTube.com. Stay rebel, y'all.
We love you, Jimmie. Take a bow for everyone, please, buddy.
Love you both.
Now you know we can't go out like that, right? By the good grace of God, I hope you're back. But if this is our last show, we can't go out like that, right? You know what we need to do here, right? Raise your arm up with me. Bring it down 3.